Sophia Nyborg Anderson, and I'm excited to welcome you to our webinar today, How to Build a Website webinar. As everyone is getting online, I'd like to start out by sharing a little bit about the SBDC. And for those who are not familiar with the program, essentially the SBDC at the University of La Verne is a grant-funded program through the Small Business Administration and the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development to help businesses get started and grow. And we do these two ways. We offer workshops and webinars, and then we supplement those webinars with free one-on-one business consulting to help you be successful. If you're interested in signing up for free consulting, we'll put a link in the chat to sign up. Also, as we get started, I'd like to take care of a few housekeeping items. Everyone will be placed on mute to help eliminate any background noise, but please submit your questions using the Q&A feature on Zoom or comment section if you're watching this on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. And don't be shy. We want to make sure your questions get answered. Josh and I will be co-hosts for today, and we will be helping moderate the questions, and we will address the questions at the end. We should have plenty of time, and the slides will be made available after the webinar, and this webinar will also be recorded as well. So if you have to drop off early, we've got you covered. And with those housekeeping items out of the way, I'm pleased to introduce our speaker for today, Sean Snyder. Sean grew up in a family business and has a bachelor's and a master's in entrepreneurship. Sean has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to creating business plans for new and existing businesses. And Sean is a consultant and our director here at the University of La Verne, SBDC. Without further ado, please welcome Sean Snyder.
Hey, everybody, and glad to be here with you. Thank you so much, Sophia and Josh, for helping put this live stream together. It's going to be a fun one, talking about building websites. And, well, we got a lot of good stuff on tap for you. First of all, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the fundamentals of, building a website and some of that jargon that can be a little tricky. We're going to talk for those that may be on the line or watching today that are doing e-commerce. There's some extra considerations, we might say, that we're going to talk about today that you'll definitely want to address. And then I'm a big believer in, instead of just talking about it, let's do about it. So we're going to demo how to build a website, because that's really the topic for today is how do we build a website? So, the only way to do it is to, as Walt Disney said, is to stop talking and start doing. So we're excited for you to be with us today. And let's get right into it. So the first thing I'd kind of mention as we kind of tee up this conversation about how do I build a website, you got to have that conversation with the person in the mirror and be really brutally honest. Is this something you're going to do yourself, or is this something you're going to hire out? And I'm a big believer in doing it yourself. You can do it. Si se puede, all that good stuff, because, belief in yourself or confidence is a part, I would say, more than half of entrepreneurship, just being confident in yourself. But being real with yourself, I would say, is the other half. And everybody's going to be on a different end of the spectrum or continuum, if you will. But even if you were to hire it out, having tested it out yourself is really going to be advantageous at this point. So we're going to kind of throw you in the deep end. We're going to demo some and show you how it's not that scary. Because I always say, a problem well-defined is half solved. And, by doing it yourself, you're trying to figure out really what you need. Even if you hire it out, you have some of that jargon down and you can clearly articulate the problem or the challenge that you want to address with this website. And I did do a talk with Josh on his blog for the SBDC about, do it yourself versus hired out. And in that talk, I did this example of, I hire out things. I love to do things myself, but I also know when to hire it out. And we hired out a flooring project in our house. But I will compare that to your website. If the floor, once the floor is done, it's kind of done. We walk on it, we sweep it, etc. But with a website, it's a really critical part of your business, and you're going to need to use that website and update it. So the flooring project, hiring that out, once it's done, versus a website that kind of needs to be updated from time to time. and really be used as a critical component of your business. Big factors to consider. But do check out our, do it yourself versus hired out conversation, because there's a lot to take in there. There's the time you have to do it. There's the talent you might need to build to do it. And then there's the treasure in case, whether you're doing it yourself or you're hiring it out, that will, you're going to have to part with some hard-earned cash. So that's just to kind of set the stage for this conversation, but there are some resources. We're going to talk a little bit more about them. The do-it-yourself, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn Learning through the LA County Library. We're going to show you how to access that for free. I love free resources. In terms of hiring it out, you could check out Elance websites like Guru, Upwork, 99 Designs, Fiverr. And I even threw in Meetup on here because if you're WordPress, that's what you want to use, and we'll talk about that. There are groups where people who just love these platforms to get together. But I also throw in here, and there isn't like a logo, a generic for all the chambers of commerce, because a chamber of commerce is a great place to go to get referrals to service providers like web development folks or advertisers or accountants, etc. So do check out your chamber of commerce for referrals there too, and do the rule of three. Talk to 2 or 3 people, find someone you can work with. Again, problem well defined is half solved. So, well, I'll get off my soapbox there, but it's a big one. So be real with yourself. Let's keep it simple, and don't give up. Let's try. So, but as we're building a website, there's 2 things. Even if I were building your website for you, say, okay, what is the goal of this website? And a lot of my clients, quite honestly, say it's to have a website, Sean. That's why I'm talking to you. But the goal of the website shouldn't just be to have a website. The website should do something for you. It should do something for your business. So the goal, e-commerce is pretty obvious. It's like buy and shop now. But if I'm a plumber, you might say call for a quote or submit a contact form. If I'm a hairstylist or maybe a real estate agent, it might be like, let's schedule a free consultation. Or a hairstylist might be like, book a color appointment. A real estate agent might be like, let's schedule a consultation. Let's get to know your needs and what you're looking for, 2-bedroom, 3-bath, etc. But it should be a conduit for people visiting the website to do something. So we're going to keep that in mind, that call to action, CTA, one of the first jargons we're going to throw out at you. Secondly, is to keep your audience in the forefront of your mind. Whenever I say, so who's your target audience? Another common answer I get is everyone, Sean. We will sell to everyone. And that is perfectly fine. But there's probably somebody out there who will see the premium or be willing to pay a premium for your product or service more so than someone else. And what does that person or organization look like? Because it could be B2B or it could be B2C. Keeping them in the forefront of your mind, because we're in developing a website, there's this term content, and really what it boils down to is pictures, videos, text, paragraphs that really speak to the need of a target audience. So a lot of times I also compare developing a website to writing a business plan. Who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? All these fun things are more, visually articulated in a lot of ways on a website. But, if you've done a business plan, let's look at that. Let's see what our goals are in terms of sales and how this website is going to help you. And let's look at the marketing description of your marketing persona, they might call it. And so make sure we incorporate those things into the website. But I'm a big analogy fan, because I like to wrap my head around things with stuff that I already know. And I like this example of a house as a website. So if I were to invite you over to, because we all know what a house is, right? It's kind of like Plato's chair. We know what a chair is. But if I were to invite you over to my house, well, you would drive there on the road. Well, in this case, that's the internet. We're all pretty familiar with how to use the internet these days. But if I were to invite you over to my house, you'd say, hey, Sean, what's your address? That's going to be, in web development terms, that is a domain name, or a www.yourcompany.com or .net, or there's all these different endings nowadays. And another term that's kind of interesting is, if I were to build a house, my house has got to sit on some land, right? Well, in web development terms, that's referred to as hosting. I pay property taxes to the county to make sure that my house is protected from fire, from flood, and that it's accessible. Same thing for website hosting. You're going to pay a fee to make sure that the files that make up your website, which are, again, text files, images like JPEGs and all sorts of stuff, that they're accessible when someone types in your address or your domain name, and that they're protected from not fire and flood, but from viruses. And there's it's accessible. It's accessible. That's hard to say 5 times fast. But there's this term web hosting. And then last but not least, my house could be built out of brick. It could be built out of stucco, or if I'm going along the Three Little Pigs, it could be built out of straw. So you can build a house in a lot of different ways. Same thing, you can build a website. There's a lot of these builders that we're going to take a look at today, what you might call off-the-shelf builders, where they incorporate all 3 of these things together. The hosting, the domain name registration, and the website builder. Those are 3 main components needed to build a website. And these off-the-shelf providers, or software as a service, you might call them, wrap it all together and give it to you in kind of one nice package and one nice monthly or annual fee. But you also hear about this one called WordPress.org. I'm not talking about .com, because there's 2, not to make it worse or more confusing. But WordPress.org would be like, okay, I hired someone to build a house. They know how to build a house, and I've got all that taken care of. But you need land for the house to be on, and you need a domain name. So that's where you end up having it WordPress, and you have to go find your own web host. But for today's subject of our conversation, we're going to focus on off-the-shelf builders that kind of wrap them together. And I think on my next slide, coming down the road, we have a slide that talks about those. But in order to build a house, you often have a blueprint. Living room's going to go over here, bathroom over there, kitchen's here by the door, or by the garage. So everything has a very specific purpose in terms of the design. Same thing with a website, except instead of rooms, you have pages. And you really want each page to be very specific and have a purpose. You wouldn't just have a room in your house that didn't have a purpose, hopefully. Same thing on a website. You wouldn't have a page on your website that didn't have a very specific purpose. So less is more here. And let's keep it simple. That's a really important rule of business. But there's this term called a sitemap. And it is also not just a pretty graphic that I'm showing you here, but it's also a file type that we're going to upload to the mothership, which is Google, to tell them about all the wonderful pages and all the content and how it's all structured. So sometimes you'll hear this term sitemap. Basically, it's an organization of your site's pages and how they fit together. But we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute as well. But this is the slide I was talking about or referring to a second ago. And these are some of the most common, nowadays, there's so many different web builders, but Weebly was recently purchased or bought out by Square, that credit card swipey, thing, the payment processor. There's Wix, which is a really easy to edit kind of website. Squarespace is more what I think is like kind of hipster. It's got different styles, and we're going to look at some of these. And then you have WordPress.org. So there's a big difference between .org, which is like hiring, having a house but no land or a domain, and WordPress.com, which would wrap it all together. So, but you'll hear a lot about WordPress. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I've built on all of these platforms. I've built on others, and there's Shopify, there's Big Cartel or Magento. I mean, there's so many out there. I'm just giving you kind of the tip of the iceberg here. But sometimes, if you're starting to build a website, you've probably seen another website. You kind of go, Sean, that one looks really cool. What are they building on? And this is where I'd like to just share with you kind of this example of Built With. Because it's a free tool that you can Google, and you can go to builtwith.com, type in the name of the website, let's say lavernesbdc.org, and look them up. And once you do it, you're going to see a lot of gobbledygook or technology that this website is using. But what you want to do is scroll down to where you see this phrase here. It's called Content Management System. And that's going to tell us kind of, for the most part, it doesn't work with every website, but it is a good first stab at it. Like, hey, what are they using? to build this website. If I were to go to, there's another website builder that's free to use as well. It's called Google Sites. And if I go to SeanRSnyder.com, which is just a personal kind of resume website that I have, you can scroll down, you can see, let's see here, I think I passed it. Content management system, Google Sites. So sometimes, again, a problem well defined is half solved. If I can see what I want to build and I really like a style, I might pick a web development content management tool or a website builder that kind of fits my vibe, my style, the way I like things that look. Not to be that vain, but sometimes if you got to get behind it, you got to really like your logo. You really got to like your website. And so if, you're like, it doesn't look as the way I want it to look, that's important. So Built With is a pretty cool tool. And now as we shift gears now to the folks who may be watching today that are talking about setting up an e-commerce website, there are some additional considerations that we want to hit at the top. And we're going to show you this in the demo. Sales tax, shipping, payments, and fulfillment. So when it comes to sales tax, it's taxes, right? Scary, government, don't want to charge the wrong thing. Well, I'm here to tell you, and a lot of these off-the-shelf builders, there are apps that make calculating sales tax much easier. So you don't have to worry about it. But it will depend on the plan that you pick, whether you have that automated capability. But really, I've got a link here that talks about the South Dakota versus Wayfair Supreme Court ruling back in 2018. That really, what it did is it set what this term is called an economic nexus. And simply stated, it just requires sellers to collect sales tax where sellers exceed a certain threshold set by each state in the union. So I got a link here that you can kind of take a look at, nice nighttime reading. But really, what my point here is that every state has got a different threshold. So like, for example, Alaska, if you sell $100,000, or have 200 transactions in Alaska, well, that's when you got to start ponying up. But Arizona is 100,000. They don't have a unit sold. So a lot of these apps will help you track sales tax. And as you're picking your platform, you want to make sure that that's part of what you're buying and how you're going to do that. Secondly, and probably the biggest, I won't call it a conundrum, but challenge is going to be shipping. I always say shipping, kind of like location. Well, it's all about shipping with e-commerce website. You're going to, need to buy some shipping supplies. And you have to set up some shipping rules. So when someone buys a t-shirt off of your website, you're charging them what you're going to have to pay, whether you're using USPS, UPS, DHL, FedEx, you name it. But the goal for shipping on an e-commerce website should really be a net zero. You charge your customer exactly what it's going to cost you. So it's not a revenue or an expense. But sometimes you're going to have, rules you might have to set up in your website to offer free shipping if you order a certain amount. That's pretty standard in all the different platforms these days, but they're called shipping rules. And I wanted to introduce you to this concept because, well, maybe we don't want to ship to another state. Because we don't have to worry about the sales tax stuff. Maybe that's, you're going to have to modify, your website so that somebody coming into your website isn't able to actually purchase something from Alaska if we don't ship there, or international. That's the other thing. And we'll take a look at it. Other thing is accepting payments. And this is where this fancy term called payment processor comes into play. And pretty much payment processor is just that middle person between you, the business owner, and me, your customer, visiting you on the website to securely take money out of my bank account and securely place it in yours. Square, Stripe, PayPal, some of the common payment processors out there. And they will usually charge a certain percent, 2 to 3%, and then a transaction fee, depending on how you're set up. But I would just emphasize it's on the total transaction. So if the shirt you're selling is $10, the tax and the shipping, let's say, is another $5.10, or make it $6. That's going to be 10 plus 6. That's going to be that 2.9% on the $16, not just the $10 for the shirt, the total transaction. And the big thing here, I would say, is when you're setting up your website is really test your transactions. Because when the first time I built an e-commerce website, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to buy one. and I had it all fine. And then somebody went to buy two, and I was like, oh, they bought two shirts, and it was like, oh, I didn't charge the right shipping. But so test, test, test. And the last thing before I'm going to open it up, I think, for some questions is, so get them into the chat, is this term fulfillment. And we've all heard it. It's like, it's a fancy way to say pick, pack, and ship. Are you going to do it? Is Amazon going to do it? Etc. But in doing so, to pick, pack, and ship, you're going to need to buy and print probably some shipping labels. You can, box your stuff up and take it down to the USPS, or you can just box it up and print out a shipping label, probably oftentimes right from your website platform. And you can buy them at cheaper rates than even if you took it down to USPS. You can also customize triggered emails. So when someone checks out on your website, they get a confirmation email saying, hey, number one, thank you for your order. And then when you fulfill the order, which is basically going into the website, and printing that shipping label and going and grabbing it from the garage or wherever and putting it in a box, putting that label on it and setting it out for delivery. Now, when you mark it, you can actually add the tracking code. So now they get hey, your order's on its way. We love those emails like, oh, where's it at? Where's it coming from? Where is that town in the United States? And oh, man. Or even abandoned cart emails. Someone adds something to their shopping cart and then leaves. That's a big one. But fulfillment, usually it's also about, pickups and deliveries. So I have a little link here where you can, you're selling one t-shirt. Yeah, that might fit in your mailbox. But if you're selling 50, you're going to order for 10. You have to kind of let your mail person know that, hey, I have packages waiting at my front door, my back door, my garage door, etc. So when they drop off your mail, if you're using USPS, they will know that those packages are waiting and they will go pick them up. So you don't have to drive down there. But yeah, so those are some of the concepts or considerations, mind you, for an e-commerce website. And I guess I turn it over to some Q&A as we get started, because now where the fun stuff begins. We've covered the fundamentals, some jargon. We've covered some of the e-commerce considerations, and now we're going to put it into practice with a little demonstration. So Sophia, do we have any questions so far?
We don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
All right. Well, I know I'm going fast, and that's why we're recording, so you can kind of go back and watch this on slow-mo. No. All right. So, well, without further ado, let's get started. I'm a big believer in let's do about it, not talk about it. So here, I put up a basic checklist. Let's create a website. Let's add a product or page to the website. Let's review some of the settings, because that's really what the power of the website is for a lot of the things for the e-commerce, the payments, the shipping, etc. And let's talk brass tacks. Let's look at pricing. How does that sound for everybody? Good? All right. All the thumbs up start floating across the screen. So, all right, let me go. I'm going to take us out of the presentation, and I'm going to open up. Today, we're just going to use two platforms, just two. I know you're like, wait a minute, Sean, wait a minute. We're going to do Wix, and we're going to do Squarespace. So I'm going to try to toggle between both of them at the same time. I'm going to try to keep the screens. I'm going to do something like this. So when I'm talking about Squarespace, I'm going to make it full screen for Squarespace, and I'm going to go half. When I'm talking about Wix, I'm going to go full screen with Wix. And the reason I'm doing this is because often a homework exercise that I give clients, I want you to experience two different builders and probably more to see what fits for you, because I might love one platform, and you'll hear this from a lot of web developers. Oh, we love WordPress, and I'm nothing against it. I love WordPress too, but it depends on the person. And we want to make sure that you have the keys to the kingdom and you are comfortable with navigating it. So each of these web platforms will honestly do the same thing for roughly the same price. But it really comes down to what you like. So I don't want to be, what is that? The description, the definition of malpractice is prescription before diagnosis. Well, we got to diagnose which you like best, and then we can kind of talk about prescribing from there. So and all this is free with a lot of them will have a free trial or even a free website. So I'm on Wix right now. And if you don't have a Wix account, you're going to click Get Started either at the top right or in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and log in because I already have an account. And I'm going to continue with email and log in. Now you won't, if you're new, you won't be met with a screen that looks like this. You're going to be met with a screen that kind of looks like this. So, and they're updating things all the time. So like even this screen, I'm not used to seeing. They just rolled out what they call Editor X. So create with Wix Studios for editors, for agencies and freelancers. Okay, try Wix Studio. So I love doing things on the fly because you get to see it's like, well, that button wasn't there, like we all do, right? Even when you know something, things change. So we're going to first start out by creating, what I'm going to try to do is create a website from what they call a template. You know, if you're a plumber, you're a hairstylist, you're a personal trainer, there's other people out there, and these they've built websites for us. So let's try Wix Studio and see what it's going to probably walk us through a bit of a wizard. So we can start from a blank canvas, we can start from a template, or we can start a design on the Wix editor. Build your site from the Wix editor and manage it from the Studio Workplace. This looks new. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to go this route, but you could try any and all of the above. So I like templates because it's kind of asks me, hey, what kind of business are you kind of working from? And usually it would have a search. So it's changed even from yesterday when I tested this out. So, but all this stuff still applies in that we're going to have to look through a template that this meets the style requirements that we like. I'm going to go with this one. So we can do two things. We can view it to kind of really see how things work. You know, when I mouse over this button that says book now, it changes to blue. Do I like that? Or does it fit my vibe or my tone? So this is kind of a cool little, like, looks like a consulting type, free consultation type of design here. And if I like it, I can, or if I don't like it, I can just close it. If I like it, I can start to edit that template. And now it's going to basically load a kind of a dummy website. So let's see here. Let's see, try Wix Studio, learn more, platforms for advanced creator. I'm gonna just, where I should just go right to it. So, okay, we're gonna try Wix Studio. Is it gonna take me back to that? Yeah, okay. So this is a new editor. Looks like sites, join our partner program, custom templates. Gotta love this. Okay, so this is my dashboard. All right, I'm gonna have to redo. So I'll be honest, they're doing a lot. They're pushing stuff out there, just like your iPhone changes or Android changes all the time. Looks like they're doing some major updates right now, because now I'm back at my dashboard, which I guess now they're calling Studio, and I'm gonna have to create a new site. So I'm kind of going back through what I just did because it didn't create my site. So I'm going to start from a template. Oh no, let's try, it's going back in a loop. Start from a blank canvas. I'm not getting the option to do it a different way. So I can, gotta love this. We might hop over to Squarespace, but let's see what it's doing here. It's loading. I got a blank website. Okay, that isn't exactly what I wanted to go for, but that is what I clicked. But when I click, because this is a bunch of all my sites that I've built thus far, and I'm just trying to create a new site, but I want to create it from a template. Build with Wix. Okay. I apologize. I did not see this little bitty text down here. I'm hoping this is going to lead me where I want to go, because they're trying to funnel everybody to this new Wix Studio, Wix Editor. All right, now I'm back to where I'm more familiar with. This is like the wizard I was talking about, where it's like, what kind of store? We want an online store, and now it's going to kind of create that. It used to ask like the templates, and it would build it right then and there. Now it's dropping me into, there's two sides. There's a front end to the website, which is what people see when they visit, they type in your URL. And then there's a back end to the website. So this is where it's dropping me into the back end, where I can do more of the settings and stuff. So the wizard now takes me here. I'm going to say my skate shop. I don't know, a big skateboarder. So what's the name of your store? I'm just starting out. Let's see here. I'm selling physical products. They even have print on demand stuff. It's kind of cool. And sales channels. Yeah, I'm selling online and let's say in person. So they call the backend in Wix dashboard. And this is where we're going to see a lot of the settings. So there's the back end, which is the dashboard, and the front end, which is where we're going to edit a site right now. And to get there, we have to hit design site. And this is now where we have two options. We can let Wix kind of create a site for us, or we can pick a template. I would say pick a template because this is where we can now look through again. Kind of you're seeing how we kind of already did this, but I'm just going to type in skateboard, and we have a bunch of different types of templates to pick from. So again, you can view and you can edit the site if you like it. Let's go ahead and edit it. And this is where I will kind of stop with Wix and move over to Squarespace. You have different templates that you're going to see, and I'll show you. But it's going to create what I call a dummy website where it has text, a paragraph text that says like I'm a paragraph, and it's all Latin. We're going to have to go in and we're going to have to edit that with our information, talking about our paragraphs. So while it works on that, let's see here. It's not usually that long, but I can go over and we can kind of look at the process for Squarespace. Same kind of deal. Get started or log in. Now we're going to take it for a second one for a test drive. And let's see, hopefully we do a little bit better than that other example. I know they're rolling out new changes and they're probably really good. But right now, from a user experience, this is really important. You want a website visitor to view or come to your website and not be confused like I was. That's a bad thing to happen. You want it to be very straightforward and easy to navigate, not looking for little bitty text that led me to where I wanted to go. You want it to be very intuitive. So, here we have different kind of examples. What's your site about? If I'm going with an online store, I don't see online store here. Let's see, travel, marketing, health, wedding, photography, fashion, music, personal CV. Okay. And I want to, let's see here, sell on demand. Let's say I'm a home-based e-commerce business. I just want to sell products, but you could sell courses. You could sell, a lot of different things. How would you like to get started? Okay, choose from a professionally designed website template or build a template with Squarespace Blueprint. Okay, I'm going to go with the template option, but test them both out. You can create multiple websites. Now, these are Squarespace's templates, and you can kind of tell they have a different kind of vibe. They're a little bit longer, a little more scrolly. I consider them, depends on the template, but they're a little bit more modern, one might say. Let's see here. And you can change any of them to be, this one looks like take control of your business, Bloom Coaching. We could turn a coaching template, if we liked it, into an e-commerce type website. But I'm not seeing something up here. It says online store, build your own site, professional services. So you have a lot of different categories. Let's see here, popular designs. Pickle. I kind of like that one. But let's go with this. Well, let me see. Let's pick a look. I like the pickle one because it's got my 3 products right there. It's just like a call to action and then products. So I'm going to, preview Hester. This is the name of the template. And I can kind of see, like, again, if I move over, I can change the pickle, of course. Let's do that. Let's start with this design. And now we're going to kind of drop into that dummy website, or we're going to have to change the pickle to what would be a skateboard shop. So we're going to something a little bit more, respective of our business. So I'm going to say Sean's Skate Shop. Let's call it. All right. Oops, I zoomed in. And yes, we can sell physical products. We have advanced SEO tools, all this great stuff. Let's get started. And so right now I'm looking at their editor and some settings on the left-hand side. If I wanted to edit this website, I'm going to go into website, and now I can see my different pages, shop, our story, all right here. If I wanted to edit, I kind of double click and I can go into this edit mode. You can see those go to the side. And now I'm in this editing option where I can drag this button around if I wanted to, but I'm kind of limited. I couldn't go above pickle perfection. So there's some limitation here that I want to point out. I could change this to Sean's Skate Shop, the name of my business. And if I wanted to, I can edit this section, and let's move my camera. Let's change the background to a stock photo. I'll hit replace, and they have browse stock images. So looks like they're using Unsplash for their stock images. There's Unsplash, there's Pexels, or Pixabay. There's a lot of places we can go for stock photos. Not stock, I'm talking skateboard. And this one's kind of more landscapes. Let's go with that. And that's how we can kind of edit the kind of image or the background. Might take a second to upload, and now we got light text on a light background. So this is where we start looking at accessibility and other things. But that's how we can edit the website. If we wanted to take that a step further, let's say, okay, let's save those changes and exit. Let's say we wanted to add a page. We have shop, our story, and blog. Now we're going to go over here, probably 2 pages, and I'm going to just walk through this. We've got pages. We start with a blank page, or page layouts is usually a good place to start because they have a lot of pre-built layouts. So for a scheduling page, an about page, let's do contact. We need a contact us page. So there's different kind of layouts here that we can kind of work with. Let's just say we want something that, they have a form to fill out with a picture. That's kind of long. I want it simple. We'll just go with this top one. Now we're going to create a page, and it already added it over to us on the left-hand side. I'm just going to call this Contact Us. And voila. So now it took us to that page to edit it further. So again, now this is where when you hire out someone to do a website, you're paying me, let's say $100 an hour to do this. And it's probably going to take me a good 10, 20 hours. So that's where you get between $1,000, $2,000 real quick. Or you could do it yourself. So, but as you go through it, now you're clicking around, you're learning. It's a learning new platform. But we added a page, and I think I said I wanted to add a product. So if I go back to home on Squarespace, they have it under selling. So this is where we have products and orders. We're going to talk about orders later, but right now, products, I don't have any. So a lot of times they'll have kind of sample products for you to work with, but if I needed to, I can add a physical product. And it's going to ask me to give it some more details, like eucalyptus face scrub, and add an image. And then more details like the price, whether we want to track stock on our website, like if we're out of stock, because we don't want to sell something we don't have. But you can track your inventory right on the website or not. You can just say unlimited stock. Fulfillment is how you want to be, allow people to, receive their order. Well, most times it's like shipping to them, but you can have them pick it up or, themselves. They will oftentimes have categories because you're going to create shipping rules. We'll look at that. But, categories, whether these are facial scrubs or these are skateboards or T-shirts that kind of fit a genre of product that you're selling or a category. So you can apply shipping rules, whether that's visible or not. Marketing is important. So like your SEO and what it looks like when people share things on social. But that's kind of how we can add a product to the website. Now let's go back to Wix and kind of take a look at that same thing. So we left off with Wix with basically starting with a template. There's a prompt here that says, let AI write your site content. I've tried it and, AI is great, but you're going to have to edit it anyway. So I'm going to skip that. But what I usually like about Wix is that it's kind of easier to edit. So earlier, like if I changed Kings of the Road, I can just change this as easy as double clicking like Word into a text box and try to change it to Queens of the Road. Oh, I didn't spell that right. So that spelled right? That doesn't look right. Let's see if it does Okay, it does tell me if things are spelled wrong. That's because spell check is, I do my best spell checking after I click send or publish, one of those things. But I can move this even all the way over here. It's telling me, you might not want to do that, probably by the little hash or the lines there. But I have full control of where I want to put this. Where I didn't have that full sense of control with the Squarespace. That shop button, I couldn't move it above. So this is a little bit different editor. But this one, if it has Wix tends to have a little bit more stock photos. So if I wanted to change this background, I think there's some buttons over here where I can add the page. We can do that. But site design, I think if I wanted to change the background so the text is a little smaller, you can see it's a little bit different editing experience. But I'm going to go to video. When I was in Squarespace, I didn't see stock videos. I only saw stock photos, and they get Shutterstock, and they have media from Wix. But let's see, start adding files. I want to look for media from Wix, let's say, and type in skateboard. So I can change that background now to a video and take a look at it, like when you preview it. So when you're editing a website, you're not necessarily having it go live while people are viewing or browsing your website. You are making changes, and then you hit this publish button. So you can save all the changes you want while you're working on it, and then test it out in preview mode. Like right now, it's not working. So I would probably refresh this. It's saying it might not be saved. But then when I'm ready to go live, there's this button called publish. And then that sends it out. It re-updates what people will see when they type in your website. But they have a little bit more stock photos. It didn't save that change, so I didn't click save. So, okay, it's taking me back here. But they have a lot of stock videos as well. So, and you can look at it. Most of these web builders are going to be, back in the day, it was like, oh, is your website mobile friendly? Well, now they are. It'll look a little different on a website or on a phone. So, but I usually tell people when they're building a website, build it in desktop mode, and then see how it looks in the mobile view, because you might have to move some boxes around, but build it in one view and then modify in the other. But if we wanted to add a page, now we're going to go, let's see where we're going to go. We're going to go over here to this plus icon. Nope, we're going to go to pages and menus. So this is kind of their editor. And let's add a contact page like we did before. We have customer service, blog, our story, shop. But let's see here, add page. And just like Squarespace, they have different layouts. Let's try their contact us page. It looks like, okay, got one with a map. Cool stuff. So a lot of stuff is pre-built, so we can just click add page. And now each page, we have to edit separately. There's some things that will kind of overlay from page to page, like the header or the menu. Yes, and this is where you can start out. A lot of times, all the website builders will give you a domain. It's not going to be the one that you want, like www.mycompany.com. But if I zoom in here, for Wix, I have Wix, HTTPS SeanRSnyder.wixsite.com/my-skate-shop. So see if I can get rid of those hyphens, make it a little easier. And that is available. So that is available on the website right now. If you go to that, or if I hit publish, so you can start building it before you decide on the domain name, because it's just like your logo and all that fun stuff. It's like, well, what's the best logo, or what's the best domain? But it's anyway. So you can kind of even share that with somebody. Say, hey, what do you think about my website? Like this, I would go, what is going on? There's a lot of blank stuff here. So the template I picked didn't really work out the way I wanted. So I might just, kind of delete this page and then start again. But this is kind of the editor. I wanted you to kind of see how you can kind of click on this. There seems to be a box here. There's a contact. So why is that white on white background? I don't know. But let's see here. That's the color. It's bold, highlight. I don't know if it's the background color. Let's go black. Okay, that is the font color. So we're all this is what it's about, building a website. Soon, before you know it, you're a web developer. You'll be doing this for business. But it's a little finicky. You've seen it as we've been doing it, and you've seen how it can be different between Squarespace and Wix and WordPress and Square and Shopify. So finding one that, fits what you like and is easy for you to navigate is really key. So we've created the website, we've added a page now and a product to the Squarespace. We haven't done a product to Wix. And if I go back for Wix, I go back to the home page. This is where Wix is a little bit different. Sometimes you can edit products from what I call the front end. Right here, if there says no product. So I can click on this and I can hit manage products, and it opens up this like pop-up window. I tend to prefer to go just leave the editor and go into the back end, or the dashboard they call it. So I'm going to do that to show you. So rather than look at this pop-up, because sometimes it doesn't work as well for me, I'm going to go here. Well, first I'm going to save. Okay, continue. And now I'm going to design your own logo. Yeah, there's a lot of pop-ups, but I'm going to go to site up here, and I'm going to go to my dashboard. That's going to take me to the back end, where all the settings and a lot of the other aspects of the website, the real power lies. Editing the site, making it look pretty and nice and stylish is great, but we want to really optimize it and make it work for us. And that's done on the back end. And so here is where I have, just like on Squarespace, we had store products and orders. I'm going to go to store products, and I'm going to now have the opportunity to kind of edit or create products. And here's some of the dummy content. I'm a product. So let's just take a look at that. And this is where a good title, a good description, all that SEO stuff is really, really important. So when people are searching, they can see or they can find what they're looking for. So SKU numbers and all that fun stuff. But pictures, especially if multiple colors, when someone changes a color, it changes the image. That's it's a subtle thing, but very important to confirm that they're buying the right thing. But name, title, description, refund, product information, price, whether you want to put this as on sale, mark it off by a certain dollar amount or percentage. There's a lot of fun things you can do here when you're actually selling products, but very similar to what we saw on Squarespace. So I'm going to cancel that, but that's pretty much how we can add products. And now the other two things I wanted to do was review the settings and look at pricing. So settings. Let's see. So we're already on Wix. Let's start with Wix. And you have a lot of these like menu options along the left-hand side here. The most powerful or most important, I'm going to say, is right here. It's called settings. And, there's a lot of good stuff, but this is really when you're getting started where you're going to spend some of your time. And this is where, if we look at tax, if we upgrade, they have an automated tax service provided by Avalara. Or we can add a tax location ourselves. We can even eat the tax. Let's say tax is already included in the price of my items, or it should be included at checkout. That's where you're going to kind of edit your tax stuff. Shipping and fulfillment. This is where we're going to set up shipping rules. So by default, it's set to international and all 50 all United States domestic, it looks like. And that includes like even Air Force bases. So maybe we don't want to do international shipping. So if somebody were to visit our site outside the United States based on their IP address or their address when they enter it into the checkout process, it will say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we don't ship there." So we don't have to deal with the whole, we have to refund you and all that jazz. But let's say we wanted to not just ship to the entire United States, but we wanted to ship to only California. We can click on this and edit. And so now we can deselect all 54, and again, it includes Armed Forces Americas, but we can go down to California and just say that. So based on their address, we can offer free shipping, flat rate shipping. This is where I say shipping. The easiest one that I've found is rate by product, but you can even get real-time calculated rates because, the US, all the shipping is going to go based on size, weight, and distance. So they have these zones. So are you in zone 1? Are you going, how many zones are you crossing? And they will calculate that automatically. So if you start running ads nationwide for your products, and you get an order from Virginia and you're in California, you want to make sure you charge them the right amount. Or you could alternatively go by product. On average, it costs us, this much, give or take a couple cents. And if they bought, this is where we can create groups. As you saw when we added the product, is this a shirt? Is this a skateboard? So we can create different rules for different types of products. Are we shipping, water mugs or something? Are we allowing local delivery or pickup? Haven't done that, mainly just focused on the shipping. And last but not least, before we go over to, I'm going to discard those changes. We go over to Squarespace to see how this looks, is accept payments. So with an e-commerce website, you're going to transact, have payments, right? You're going to sell a product for a fee. And so this is where you're going to have a payment processor. Wix has their own, and that's why they're saying we recommend you using Wix payments. But let's say you had Square, it's not listed here. We have to click this text down here. It says see more payment options. And then we see Affirm and all these other kind of like, I don't know, we'll call it layaway, but it's like where you pay after kind of thing, or you pay before. I'm not sure really how all of these work out, but there's a lot of them nowadays. And maybe something you could offer your clients. I think all the web platforms have a different one. But I still don't see Square. So I got to go down to third-party credit card providers and see options. And now I see Stripe. I don't know what Priority is, but Stripe and Square and Braintree. So then now if I had a Square account, I can just hit connect. And that Square account is going to be connected to my bank account. So I can hit connect. It's going to open up to be able to authorize it. And voila. It's not hard, but you do have to agree to their terms of service. And you do need to be prepared to receive a 1099K from the payment processor at the end of the year, kind of totaling up all the sales if it's over, I think, $600. So, and be okay with the expense. So this is that 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. And then good, Wix does not collect additional fees. Okay, wonderful. But that's kind of the settings. And that's where a lot of those e-commerce things live. There's a lot more under settings that we didn't talk about, roles and permissions. If you're working on this website with, say, someone else, you can add them as a contributor, a co-owner, to send them an email. So you're kind of sharing the load, or if vice versa, you're hiring this out, you want to make sure that you are able to, you have the keys of the kingdom and you're like an owner of that website. So very important. But if we go over to Squarespace now, we're in the details view of the product. So I'm just going to cancel this. We didn't have any dummy products or demo products in here, which is interesting, but we're going to go to on the left-hand side now under settings. And this is where we're going to find a lot of that taxes stuff. And, we can add a rate, we can include or not include it. I think they have an app marketplace called, they have extensions. So I oftentimes compare a website to like your iPhone or your Android phone, smartphone. When you buy the phone, it comes with a certain level of functionality. It has certain apps kind of pre-installed on it. Websites are kind of the same way. When you start a website, it's got some basic functionality kind of built in. But if you wanted to add additional functionality, like we wanted to automate our tax, we could go to like these other tools or search for taxes. And now we've got Avalara, TaxJar, but again, there are additional fees. So you got to look at the additional costs it might be to have that service. But just like your iPhone, if you have, I don't know, let's say Apple Music or some other paid service, you can access it through your phone. Same thing with the website. You would need a TaxJar account or Avalara account to kind of automate that tax. So it is possible. But that's taxes. Then shipping. Again, if we go here to shipping, we can add a shipping option. And again, same thing you saw in Wix is this flat rate. Does it depend on the weight? Let's say it's flat rate, and we can give it a name. Let's say shirts. Price per order fee per item. fee per item. Let's say it's $5 per shirt. So if they buy more than one shirt, you know, they'll charge every shirt that's in that order or in that cart will charge $5. Oh, we have to add shipping zones. So let's take a look at what that is. So ships to, again, now this is where we say California. Let's see. I wonder if they let us do just California. Let me see here. United States. Okay, so we got the 54. And then, okay, yeah. So then we have to edit and then we have to unselect all of them and just select California if we were to do what we did there. And then hit save. All right. So now shirts will be charged $5 per item on checkout for every product that we label or categorize for that as shirts. And the last screen we looked at. And shipping tax. What's the third thing? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I'm not fulfillment because we're going to talk about that. But shipping tax. Oh, payments. So they call that store payments over here. And right out of the gates, they say Stripe, PayPal, Square. So we don't have the option maybe to offer those others, after pay services. But if we do that, it's going to ask us to authorize it. So we could if we wanted to. But as I mentioned, the fourth thing, which was fulfillment. So that's you build the website. And it's like, woo, testing it with a friend or family member. Let's say, they buy a shirt. Where does that order go? That's going to go into a little thing called orders. So let me get out of settings. And you have the website. And then under selling for Squarespace, you have this area called orders. And right now, we don't have any orders yet. But this is where if we got an order, it would come in and we would monitor that and we would mark it as, maybe it's on backstock, or maybe we have it right here. We just pick, pack, and ship and then print the shipping label and then mark it as fulfilled. And our customer gets an email saying it's on its way. For Wix, same kind of deal. They have a section under here called orders. They even have one for abandoned carts. So that's really important. So I'm going to go to orders, and right now it's saying open for business, but we have to upgrade or we have to connect a payment plan. So you'll see all these upgrade buttons all around to get you to upgrade to be able to take payments. So let's take a look at that, because that's kind of the last thing I wanted to share with you was a little bit about the pricing. And now I'm going to go side by side here, and I'm going to hit subscribe. We're on a free trial right now with Squarespace for 14 days, so we can kind of kick the tires. But this is where you're going to look at the pricing. This is kind of like brass tacks. So this is what you get. And a lot of them do this similar things, but, priority care, support, that's a big thing. Like what happens if, it's not working for me? Now, they're not going to build your website for you, but what if you're having an issue? Is there someone you can call? Is it email support? But these are all the different kind of things that you are going to want to think about for your business as you pick a platform. They all are, I would say, roughly do the same things, but maybe one doesn't. And so I don't want to make the assumption, because you know what happens when you assume, right? So this is kind of the pricing. They're recommending about $23. We want to make sure that we can process payments if we're an e-commerce website. Some of the cheaper ones won't. They won't let you do like that aspect. So if we look at this one and we start looking at the check marks, video hosting, SSL, all this stuff is good. Professional email, fully integrated e-commerce. So that's where, like, if we went with this plan, we are not going to be able to sell products. We're going to have to actually upgrade. So that my light just went off. So I think that's my cue to kind of wrap it up with a bow when it comes to the demo. But it's a really important exercise to kind of go through to kick the tires yourself, to see how it fits for you. Now, I know we went through it fast. So I'm a big believer in, if I can see it, I can do it. And that's where LinkedIn Learning, if you are going to do this yourself, and even if you're going to hire it out and you're going to try to do it yourself, this is a great resource, because LinkedIn Learning is usually like $30 a month. But if you log in through the LA County Library, and here's a link to their login page. Basically, if you go to the library and go into their databases or digital libraries, they have a link that'll take you here. And if you get started and you log in with your library card number and your PIN, you can access LinkedIn Learning for free. And it's a phenomenal resource, not just for e-commerce, but also QuickBooks or I mean, just about anything. You can learn how to code on here, the C++, But what we would do is, can we go up to the search bar and just type in Wix? And now we can have, there's a course that is, well, let's see here. The volume. So there's a course basically taught by Jen Kramer, who's a web designer, a ton of good experience. That's 2.5 hours for beginner and intermediate, and they update them pretty regularly. This was about a year ago, so maybe a little out of date, but they're probably going to come out with a new one to, adjust for some of the things that we saw. But this is Jen Kramer going to teach you about setting up your Wix website, everything from creating the initial setup to editing page content, some of the things we did, but more in a little bit slower fashions.
Is a tool.
So I don't know if you can hear that or not, but she's talking right now, and it's going to go in little 3-minute, 2-minute videos all through the process. And the same thing with Squarespace. Squarespace, let's see here. They have anything with essential training is usually pretty good. So here's one on Squarespace, taught by Jen Kramer as well, 2 hours and 20 minutes, and broken down from creating and editing page content and launching your first site, all the different like little bits and pieces, so that if you wanted to try this yourself, and even if you get into it and you go, yeah, this is not for me, you at least start to understand the terminology and the functionality that your web developer is going to be limited by, depending on the platform you choose. So I really want to share that with folks because it's a great resource. And I just love it. So, but ultimately, once you build a website, you want to be found. And that's after you've tested and things like that, you start marketing. And this would be, if I were to today, how to build a website part 2, it would actually be probably something different. Be like how to get found once you've built a website. Because building a website is great. It's putting a business card about you out there on the web, but how do we make sure people find us? Well, there's 2 tools I would introduce you to, or maybe I encourage you to check out on LinkedIn Learning. One is Google Search Console and one is Google Analytics. Google Search Console basically shows you what customers search to get to your website. So if they search Sean's skate shirts, and then we showed up in that list, and then they clicked, that's where it would show us in this free service called Google Search Console, Sean's skate shirt. Sean's skate shirts was the query or the phrase that was searched. Whoa, I need to choose something different, search query. But once someone clicks on the results in Google and then lands on your website, now this is where Google Analytics usually comes into play in terms of what it shows you what customers are doing on your website. Is there a particular blog post that you wrote that's really getting a lot of traffic to that one page? So one, are the search terms, accurate and, understand your customer to get to your website? And then 2, once they're on your website, like kind of what are they doing? And you can usually sync both of these accounts within Wix or Squarespace to learn from one platform rather than have to log into Google over here, log into Google Analytics over there. But these accounts will be usually necessary to kind of start to really optimize, analyze, and get people to come to your site. So just 2 common tools. There's a lot more. And now we start to morph into the overarching marketing conversation. What's the strategy? What are we doing here? Directory listings, email marketing, So, but that's my spiel for today on how to build a website. Again, I want to give a big shout out to our chamber partners for helping us cross-post this information. And I will turn it back over to Q&A if we have any, Sophia, or online, Josh, through social.
We don't have any questions at this moment. Thanks, Sean.
All right. Well, if you do need help with understanding, trying to pick the platform, again, the SBDC is not going to build your website for you, but can kind of give you some guidance in terms of strategy or help look at your website to what you could improve. Again, the website is never done. It's not like start today, finish tomorrow. It's a constant process and looking at it and optimizing it and figuring out, okay, what are people doing? How can we make this work for us better? But if you need help in that regard, in terms of strategies, that's where the SBDC is here. We'll put in the chat how to sign up for services. But if there's nothing else, we'll say thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Until then.